Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Galactic Reviews. This week, we watched the movie Wonder Woman 1984, and this week we won't have a trivia for it since it's a new movie and we all just watched it once, so we didn't really get to see in-depth details about it to figure out questions and figure out the answers for those questions. So we'll just get right into the discussion. So, first off, everyone's opinion. Did you or did you not like this movie? Andrew,
Yeah, we'll start with
we'll
Andrew.
start with you.
Cool. Um, it was good until the last 20 minutes. I liked it until the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
Is that
So-
an okay
Me,
answer?
that would be the opposite. That would be the opposite for me watching The Joker. I hated the movie up until the last 10 minutes.
All right.
So I can understand. All right.
Until I
Pace
explained
it.
it, but whatever. I'd
Not even when
say
you explained it, I still disliked it.
okay. Well, I'd say with this movie, it was a little bit all over the place, and it had weird timing. It wasn't quite everywhere, so I'd give it. I don't think I'd watch it. I don't think I'd watch it again. I wouldn't mind watching it again. It's just not one of my top pick. I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. So
Okay. Grant?
as superhero movies go. So
Yeah, I also didn't like it. I thought since it was like the biggest movie to come out since Tenet, it was a huge disappointment. I would give it if we're going out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. And I see no reason to watch this movie again.
Yeah.
and that was very gracious, Grant.
And Clayton?
Okay. Yeah, Zach and I talked a little bit about the movie already. I give it a 3 out of 10. I think it was very sporadic. I would say I would watch it again, only because I can barely remember anything that happened. Because it
No,
was just
that's
that
reasonable.
forgettable.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I would have to be really on the same boat as all of you. I would give it, like a 3.5, right in between 3 and a 4. Um, it had some good parts, very, very few good parts. Um, and that was the whole movie. Disappointment. And they had a lot of time to fix it, and they just refused.
Yeah, because then they have like 3-month reshoots,
Yeah.
and then they had all this time. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to come out, I think, the first week of October. And then they rescheduled it for Christmas. So they did not spend their time wisely in those 3 months with this movie. But other than that, I would say, I wouldn't watch this movie again. I was really looking forward to it, mostly because I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman, and this one was just an absolute letdown.
Do you think it deserves a sequel? Because they already announced that the director, is it Patty Jenkins, I think,
Yeah,
and
it's
Gal Gadot they already signed on to do another movie. Do you think it deserves it?
No, not at all.
If they, I don't know, if they can somehow find a way to make it as enjoyable as the first one, then maybe. But the thing is getting people to watch it. I mean, I say a lot of people would probably watch it because it's a Wonder Woman movie anyways, because of the title and the character, but I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
But
regardless, the movie's gonna make money because it's Wonder Woman.
Exactly.
Um,
It's like the last 3 Star Wars movies. We didn't want them. They were just given to us.
No, but I also spoke with my high school mentor about this film, and he absolutely loved it, which was strange because we normally have generally the same opinions on movies, but he said it was a nice twist on kind of um, the moral of the first film, which was it's not about what you deserve, it's about what you choose, right? Like that was the whole thing of the
Well,
first one.
yes. Okay. Yeah, I will say the moral to this one is really good, especially the ending of this movie. The morals at the end were really good. But other than that, no.
There's what I remember of this movie, because like I said, it's really forgettable. Um, what I remember is not redeemable.
So I thought like the first 2 hours and 10 minutes were okay. I didn't think they were phenomenal or like the best writing I've ever. It was okay. If it had ended the same way it was going, I'd have been like, that was an okay movie. I wouldn't have freaked out about how amazing it was, but it was an okay movie. But then she,
From here on out, spoiler warning. Um, you have been warned. If you click on this video and then complain about where it has the title of the movie you're an idiot. That's about as far as I'm gonna go. Keep going.
without being spoiling the whole end of the movie, the break it kind of was breaking the fourth wall. It became very preachy, and if it hadn't become very preachy, I would have been like, even the way they resolved it, I've been like, okay, that's fine. If they did it without being preachy, I could have been like, that was okay. But the that was
You're gonna
I
have to
got up
go
and
in
walked
depth
out.
because that was the part that went over my head. I was focusing on other things.
Well, she was preaching to the whole world to renounce their wishes, and like even if she was so like convincing, there's just no way everyone would renounce their
Yeah,
wish.
I think I talked to Zach about that on the way back.
Yeah.
But the thing about it from like a cinematography aspect, they almost never have the camera facing, like making eye contact with the camera. That's something that's kind of like a something you don't do because it's very unnerving. It takes away from the fact that you're watching a movie and you're trying to be invested in a story. It's breaking the fourth wall entirely. And it's something that people don't do on stage and theater. They don't look at audience members unless it calls for it. But they do it in horror movies because it makes it very unnerving. But in this point, they made it quite obvious that she wasn't talking to the dude, that she was talking to the audience, that look at the world, look at what's happening. All we have to do is change our. Oh my goodness. Oh,
No,
I
I didn't look at it.
I didn't look at it
Now
that
that
way, but that's a good point.
I mean, that is a good point to bring up, but I would have never noticed that if you didn't say
okay.
anything.
Whoops.
No, like in my opinion, in my honest opinion, I think it's probably the worst superhero movie I've ever seen.
I don't know. Captain Marvel's up there.
No, I didn't like Captain Marvel, but
Yeah.
at least it's
Captain Marvel's a lot better than this.
Yes,
yeah.
100%.
And
I'll say
even
it wasn't. Yeah.
Fantastic, the most recent Fantastic Four movie, which was awful.
It was.
Um, I think that was better than this. I can remember the plot of that
Yeah.
Fantastic Four movie. Like I legitimately cannot remember a lot of the plot of this Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
That is
I would put
perfectly
it.
fine. I think you're better off that way.
I would put it on the same tier as X-Men, the final, or is it the Last Stand or Final Stand?
Last Stand.
I put them. I feel like they're like the equal on my. I haven't seen the Fantastic Four movies, but I recently saw Last Stand, and like they're definitely on the same level.
Okay. However, no matter what you think about them, well, the graphics were pretty shoddy. Sometimes that's one thing that did make it
Yeah.
not as enjoyable on my end. But there was some really cool things. I really liked the armor. Just the design of it, the gold one. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the lasso and the lightning. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
And one thing that doesn't make sense is why they flew a jet through fireworks.
Yeah, I was looking at you through that whole thing, being like,
Maybe
why?
kind
I
of
was really
dangerous.
confused.
Yeah,
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Kind of sucks that she right after she got invisible jet, she learned how to fly.
yeah,
You know, you have a point.
The other point I had was that they would need jet fuel.
yeah. Because that looked like it was on a display for like a tour-ish kind of
Yeah.
deal. So,
Or like the phone call right after. She was like, "I'll see you in the morning." I'm like, "How? You still how?"
and they made that jump from
Yeah.
Cairo to, yeah, that was bad.
What did
Yeah.
y'all think of Cheetah?
Mm.
I hadn't
CGI
I
looked
hadn't
horrible.
read any comic books or anything, so like, do any of y'all insight on that? On was it comic book accurate or anything?
I think they were trying to, for Cheetah, I think they were trying to pay respect for the first one, which was more in line with what they were, if I remember it correctly, and Clayton, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe they were trying to pay respect for the first one. I forget what her name is, but they were trying to pay respect to her, I believe, for her because I believe she was really smart, and then they ended up doing that whole, the way they did it was made it way more difficult than it needed to be, in my opinion. But it wasn't a bad concept. It just could have been done way better.
I thought it was well written enough.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything about the cheetah, which I don't, um, I thought it was well written. It was a believable character. This very smart, intelligent lady who just doesn't understand how to be socially cool, and all of a sudden gets it and is terrified of losing it. I thought that was a believable character, at least.
I just don't understand how she went from trying to be cool to wanting to be a cheetah.
I don't think the cheetah was on
No, you
purpose.
have.
It was just how she worded her wish,
Yeah.
and the god was like, "Haha, gotcha."
Personally, overall, I just feel like Cheetah didn't really play a meaningful role in the movie. Like I feel like she was just kind
Yeah.
of there to contrast Diana, and it was mainly just about Maxwell Lord giving people wishes.
I thought her main purpose was just to just give her an actual fight.
I think that's what
Yes,
her
that's
purpose
what.
was.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say. Because other than that, there was no real fight in the whole movie besides.
That ending fight, essentially. And then the
Yeah,
one at the White House, but that wasn't really well
it was a
choreographed.
bit. Yeah, it wasn't
Also
really a
getting her
fight.
butt kicked.
Yeah, pretty much.
Real quick, I just think that like there weren't really any great action scenes in this movie. Like I did like the part like in the desert when they were on like the convoy, I thought that was cool. But other than
Yeah.
that, yeah, but other than that, like the mall scene, I didn't think was that good. Um, the ending scene, I didn't think was good. Like outside the observatory or wherever. Like I don't know. What do y'all think?
Yeah, just it's
They could have been better.
there's
Especially,
bad ways of doing a superhero's powers, CGI wise.
this is the bad way.
Yeah, uh, the um the running in particular stood out to me.
Yeah.
It was
I wrote
just
that down.
her fast running just looked bizarre.
Yeah.
They could have easily done it the way they did it with Captain America. Um,
Yeah, but
it had
you gotta
nothing to do with their.
differentiate Marvel and DC.
Yeah, I know, but like still, film techniques are film techniques, and that was just
I
whoa.
know. I was just being
Yeah.
sarcastic.
Like I had nothing to do with her form because running is running. And it didn't look out of place. So it just, I don't know. Like, I think it was probably like effort. It looked like she was running on a treadmill. Where Captain America looked like he was running, and they just kind of filmed it in a way that made everything look
Now,
like it was
with
moving
you
faster.
saying that, that brings me up to my next topic. When she had learned how to fly, and they were doing that shot. To me, it feels like they said, "Do any pose you can that looks like you're flying." we'll just put that in the movie because she changed her flying pose multiple
Like 17
times.
times in mid-flight, yeah.
Did she do the Superman?
And
She did the Superman. She did kind of like a Wonder
Yeah.
Woman. She did like a Batman with the wings. It was.
How about
it
Steve
was
coming back?
I thought it was weird how they did that.
I was very curious how they were going to do it, and I was very confused at first until it explained it. And then it did, and I was
when they
like,
explained it, even when they explained it, the fact that they didn't really bring him back, they just stuck his soul in someone else's body.
And then
Where did
I
that
feel
guy's
bad-
soul go?
I feel bad for.
I was gonna ask, what happened? Did his after she revoked her wish, did the soul from the previous guy
Just come back, or
What
was
was
he
his
always
thoughts on
there?
this?
His soul left and went to the movie Soul, and then came back.
There you go. All right.
yeah, it wasn't the best explanation, but it was one that I just went, okay, on with the movie, on with the plot.
It's at that point I realized this movie was going to go to crap. At that point, I was like, okay.
What I did enjoy about them bringing him back was the reactions they gave him for some of his scenes from seeing the world just over 60 years in the future. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that
Chris
was
Pine is a
cool
great
until he
actor.
realized he had to go traveling and figuring out how to get from his apartment that he had apparently had been in to where Wonder Woman lived, the Smithsonian, to following her all the way around without doing anything out of the sort to make him stand out, and she didn't notice him. So I mean, that's the only part where I'm like, okay, it's kind of a little bit far
And then you
fetched.
could go up. Then you yeah, but it's the 80s. You
Yeah,
go up to
yeah.
someone, ask for directions, they give it to you. Or
I
they
did.
stab you and take all your money.
I did think it was a little unbelievable. I mean, personally, I guess I've never experienced this, but she lost him after knowing him for like a few weeks in the first Wonder Woman movie,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then 70 years later or 60 years later or whatever, she's still like, which I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's
I
like
mean,
being.
you also got to think. You also got to think. This is the first man she's ever met.
She's also immortal, so this time jump for us is a long time. For her, it's probably like a blip.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I understand what you're saying
Yeah.
too, but you also got to put that in retrospective. But yeah, that's
I
a
saw
long long enough time to grieve and move on. That's
saw
kind of what
something
he was telling
compared
her.
I saw something that compared it to Captain America and Peggy and how he was like kind of getting with Peggy's like niece or
Yeah.
something after.
That made that awkward. That made that awkward so quick.
Next topic. What do you think happened to the stone after Max Lord
They really don't.
revoked his wish, which took away the power of the stone from him? Where did the stone end up?
I think it went
Did
back
it
in his
get
office,
remade?
and all the dust just recollected.
I don't know. Maybe you have to watch the third movie to find out.
Yep.
Like, how did she
Yeah,
learn how to fly? But in
Justice League
she didn't.
and Batman v
She
Superman.
forgot. She forgot
Yeah,
how to fly in that time.
She flew at the end of Wonder Woman, the first one, when it
Jumping off the building.
yeah when
Oh, that's yeah.
when it
Oh,
comes
that's set in the
off the building.
Okay, then
No, yeah, you're right. How does she forget? Does she just have like memory loss or something?
but she does
that we
not
don't
forget
know about?
Steve.
Yes. It was.
I'm not sure if I like that
traumatic
that message as a strong female role model. That the first man you see is going to be the one that pretty much dominates your life.
But
Not
you
sure I like that.
fly. You won't forget about a man in 70 years, but you'll forget how to fly in 30.
Another thing. How did she even make that invisible? She was
Well,
losing
that's-
her powers,
yeah,
and that was the first time she even did something that extravagant.
yeah, because she said she'd been working on a coffee mug when she was at full power, but yet when she's at like half power and less, she is able to cloak an entire ship from radar. Like turning something invisible is not going to make it invisible for radar.
Well, no, okay, of all the problems I had with this movie, that wasn't one because Themyscira is invisible from radar.
Okay, true.
So,
Is it? Okay.
all right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you,
but which
No,
leads,
yeah,
that's
but the
but
next thing
also
is she said this was she said this was an ability that her father could do.
yeah.
So theoretically, wouldn't she then be able to cause lightning bolts just to strike out of thin air?
That's the next movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she hasn't unlocked that yet.
Wonder Woman
Oh, okay.
1999.
Wonder Woman 2099. It's way in the future.
2099?
Wonder Woman
All right.
2020, and she fights COVID-19 by wearing a mask.
And
There
then
you
she
go.
preaches to
And
the
she's
audience.
gonna relearn how to fly again. She's
Yeah,
gonna
she
relearn
preaches
how
to
to
the
fly.
audience.
Wear your mask. So, Zach, I actually did go looking into Batman v Superman, and when like Batman's parents were killed, and they were killed in 1981. So that means Bruce Wayne would have had to revoke a wish. A young Bruce Wayne would have to revoke a wish to re-kill his parents, essentially.
If he had
Well,
wished.
it depends. Did he wish them?
I mean, you would think it's like what, a 13-year-old kid?
He was too busy. No, he was too busy brooding in his cave, sitting there rocking and crying.
It's just weird the way they did that because like that's in play. I don't know, would Superman be alive at that point?
Yes. Yes. Because isn't Bruce Wayne and Superman roughly the same age? Or aren't?
Not in the DCEU. In the DCEU, Bruce is 40
10,
something.
10 years older?
And
Yeah.
okay. Well
The
then
man
I guess
told
not.
us that when he lands on Earth.
What was that?
Let me look that up real quick. He crashed upon
Small
Earth
village.
in the early 1980s.
So it's possible,
Yeah,
but
but
he
he would have
wouldn't
been
be
too young
able
to even
make a
know about
wish.
it
I mean,
because I don't think he was told until later.
What if, okay, big fan theory here. Jonathan and Martha Kent were watching TV, made a wish for a child, and they didn't revoke their wish.
you know what? I
Well,
like that. But
well
who knows? Did
theoretically,
they have
Cheetah didn't
television?
revoke her wish either.
I thought she did revoke it.
No,
Or
because she
part of
said
it.
she wasn't going to,
Yeah,
like all throughout
but
the fight.
yeah, but what if she just revoked the? Because at the end of the movie, she didn't look like Cheetah.
Yeah, see, this is the problem with the movie.
The problem?
This is one of the many.
There's a lot
We're
of
narrowing
problems.
this down to one.
This is the one of
There's a
many,
lot.
many problems.
Um,
CGI on Cheetah was bad.
We
The
haven't even
plotting was
discussed Maxwell Lord yet.
no,
no,
no.
like, okay, so if I remember correctly, Maxwell Lord's power in the comic was, he essentially had the power of
what
the
I
Purple Man.
Maxwell Lord,
okay.
Yeah.
a purple man. Yeah, he could telepath. He could use the ability of persuasion
Yeah, so essentially like
through
the
mind
Purple
control, and he was a
Marvel
brilliant strategist
Yeah.
and kind of a businessman. I think what they mainly pulled from for this was probably the DCAU, Maxwell Lord, which was he was kind of like a business owner of the Ultimen, in a sense, which he was kind of that just with crude oil. So they
From
made
the
him way less
like
important. He was a part of the Justice League International, I believe, or he was like the spokesperson, and then he got and Clayton, you can tell me if I'm wrong. He got into he was kind of like the spokesman, and then he turns out was a bad guy. Started trying to hack Brother IT's the OMAC project against metahumans, Ted Kord finds out about it. He kills Ted Kord, which is Blue Beetle, and mind tricks Superman into thinking Batman and all the other Justice Leaguers are like Darkseid, Doomsday, all the big bads he's faced, and so Wonder Woman goes and kills him. If I remember that correctly.
I'm not familiar with this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I got from my phone and my DC encyclopedia.
Thank you.
As of the new Rebirth, he is the leader of Checkmate and Shade.
Yeah, my
Is the
my
leader
my
of
primary
Shade?
interaction with Maxwell Lord as a character is from Rebirth. He was the primary antagonist of the Justice League versus Suicide Squad story arc.
Think of him like a
Okay.
Black Ops businessman.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing a lot of.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
he has that power of suggestion, and it was kind of touched upon in the movie,
yeah,
except not as a power inherently. It just showed
Yeah,
that he had like a way with words of talking to people, and
honestly, they kind of made him look like a traveling salesman.
yeah, that they did.
But they had so much potential with this movie, and they wasted a lot of it.
They dropped the ball in so many places, man.
Yes,
Also,
they really did.
yeah, they could have done better with the timing in areas. Like certain scenes felt like they were so much longer than they needed to be, and then other scenes it felt like they were too short, and then some scenes were in there that we needed. So that was another problem with that I had. So
Yeah.
one of the many that I had with this movie. Not just the only one, Clayton. Don't get on my case again.
that's an important distinction to me.
Yeah, no, that was my foul up. I won't foul up again like that.
Like I'm not sure if I agree because I think Zachary and Payson both I think both of you said this about this movie having a lot of potential. I'm not sure I agree.
Well,
Um,
I'm talking about just the Wonder Woman franchise in and of itself.
Yeah, because it
yeah,
was basically
Not
everybody
really
that worked on the
this
first
movie
one.
specifically.
As far as I
yeah,
Because
know,
they
it was
had such a great
yeah,
first
okay.
movie. I was expecting so much more from this one. So they had the potential of doing just as good as the first one, but they didn't.
but see, like a movie like the first Wonder Woman, in my opinion, like don't get me wrong, like this is 100% my
Yeah.
opinion. A movie like the first Wonder Woman is a once in a lifetime experience, in my
Yeah,
opinion. It's one of my favorite superhero movies, period.
okay.
That was
Yeah.
lightning in a bottle.
Yes, agreed.
You don't get something like that again.
No, you do have a point.
Yeah. Like I didn't think it was going to be as good. I just
But
thought it was going to be a little bit below it, if not close to on par with it.
yeah, but then again, for me personally, I feel DC just does a terrible job with making movies. Most of the movies I've watched from DC have just been bad.
I got
They
answers
do
for
good
those
on TV
depending
shows,
on
and that's pretty much it.
I got answers for those depending on which movies you have problems with, but that's a whole nother debate for a whole nother time. But yeah, this one felt like you were getting preached.
Yeah. Oh my
Like Andrew
gosh.
said, didn't feel like you got all the pieces to the puzzle. Felt like you got gypped on some of the pieces, and some of it just didn't make any sense as far as continuity. So
My big question that I had before even watching the movie was why 1984?
yeah,
Like,
nukes.
Well, they just rolled it.
They didn't even take
Well,
advantage of the 80s. Like,
No,
you make the 80s look so
I don't know.
cool.
I think they just chose
Well,
the
it was
date
either
and rolled.
that or because because the world was at a breaking point with nuclear war,
Yeah,
so they just used that as extra fuel to make a world disaster. Having big political figures saying, "I want more nuclear weapons"
which was dumb.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
They could have gotten somebody to
probably,
play him better, which, for spoiler alert, it's Ronald Reagan. So
it was a
Well,
terrible
you
Ronald Reagan.
should know that.
yeah, I know
It
it
of
was Ronald
19
Reagan. It was a terrible Ronald
It
Reagan.
was Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
But yeah, no, it was a terrible Ronald Reagan. He would have done. I don't think he would have been that stupid. I think he was a decently smart guy. I would have thought he would have come up with have the other side have no nukes, have nobody have any nukes. Just
Honestly, I would have expected like world peace.
yeah, or something like that. And it was the 1980s. That would have been highly accepted for it.
Because that was his whole not his whole thing, but if I
That was Nixon.
recall, I thought Reagan was a thing. He wanted to stop war as well.
Ronald Reagan was like him and
Don't get me
Gorbachev
wrong.
like ended the Cold War. So like
Exactly.
He was all about
He
peace. So
wanted-
like,
he
why
wanted
more
to-
new? Like they didn't.
He wanted to resolve wars.
I think that was a
without-
jab more.
I just think when they were writing this, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, the president wants more nukes. That sounds about right." And they're just like,
But then you gotta choose a president that would actually do that though, not Ronald Reagan.
You would have to. You would
I don't
have to do your. You would have to do your homework to figure this out.
Research,
Yeah.
I think
figure out
I
which
think they
president
chose.
would be the best.
I just think they chose
I
the
don't know.
'80s because they're like, "Oh, everyone loves the '80s." You know, Stranger Things. I mean, I feel like there's just so many new movies set in the '80s, but like they just did a lame job making the '80s look cool. Like they had that mall scene that kind of sucked, and I guess just
Yeah.
the kind of the clothes they wore, not even the clothes they wore were super '80s. I don't know. I felt like they really had
No.
a
They
lot of
only had-
potential there.
The only time where they showed like 80s clothes was when they were going through like the subway and
Yeah.
she was just showing him around and you gotta see brief moments of 80s clothes and they didn't even look 80s.
Yeah. Like this movie, I feel like the plot could literally happen any other decade and be almost entirely the same.
Yeah.
I don't think they did their research that well.
I don't think they cared. Another problem I have with this movie is Steve Trevor was dragged around like garbage. Like he did nothing except fly a plane.
Yeah, he gave her the advice on how to fly. He said, "It's just wind and air." What?
That'd have been great for
maybe
Superman,
how important
as his father
was.
spoke to him. It's
Yeah.
just wind and air. Just punch the ground.
I also felt like I didn't know what Maxwell Lord's like plan was.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
what,
he
what
really.
did he want?
Power.
He,
Just unlimited power?
no.
He wanted to be a winner.
I think
He
it
wanted
changed.
to impress his kid. That's about it.
But then he started ignoring his kid. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point they were trying to make.
He was
like-
trying to
Okay,
make
but-
himself
then
successful enough
also-
for his kid to be proud of him. Was kind of what
Yeah,
they
but
were
the thing
getting
is,
at.
he never like whenever you hear like them come in, hey, your kid's here. He's like, well, why is he always here? I thought I wasn't supposed to have him. I don't want him. And if you notice, he does that pretty much every time the kid's on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do what Payson was saying, but I just think they missed on that.
Yeah.
Just how they executed it just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Like they were trying to make it
There was a lot
interesting,
of
but they
poor
did it in a
execution.
horrible way
Hmm
with a father-son relationship. So
Here's another thing. How did Maxwell Lord hear about the stone?
yeah, that's never really explained either.
Yeah, he's just a businessman, like an oil businessman, just
Well-
reading about magic stones.
Well, he says to Simon Stagg that he was that he knew he was going under. He knew that way beforehand, so maybe he was digging into almost anything to figure out how he could get his
Yeah,
stuff back. But they never really
But the
explain any of
last
that. You
time
gotta just
you hear
speculate
about-
on it.
yeah, but it even said that even when I just went blank. What's Cheetah's name?
Barbara.
Barbara Minerva.
Barbara. Thank you. When she was doing research on the stone, she hit a very huge dead end. And all she could figure out was it was at the beginning of civilization. It's the reason why civilizations collapsed. Which, if he did his research and he found that out, then why would he even want it?
Also, her research was really
But then
off.
again,
She was like, "Oh yeah, the Mayan civilization." No, that the Mayan civilization obviously ended because of Spanish colonists. Like,
And then the Roman Empire, that wasn't super mysterious as far as I remember.
no,
yeah,
not at all. They were all pretty reasonable.
This movie
Yeah.
doesn't like real history, I guess.
They just want an
Like
excuse
we said,
for.
they just didn't do their research.
Yeah, no.
How about instead of Maxwell Lord, they had Pedro Pascal play the Mandalorian, and he wants to make his son Grogu proud of him, and just the rest of the plot. But he
That would have
wishes
been better.
he could guest star and stuff.
Just that would have been better. Like the same plot, it would have been way better than this film.
We've been talking about what we don't like about it. Was there anything in particular that y'all, like each of y'all, really liked about it?
The lightning swing. And the outfits.
Nothing, Clayton.
nothing, nothing.
I would say there were only one or two humorous parts in this movie,
Yeah, most of
and
the
I'm trying to
stuff
remember
that.
them. And because the movie's so bad, I can't remember it. I'm
No,
trying.
so like like I said earlier, the first Wonder Woman is one of my favorite superhero movies, period. I think this movie makes that movie a little worse.
Yes. Honestly, I think they should have just left it with the first movie. They
They
didn't even
should
need
have
to do
just
a
left
second
it
movie.
alone. They should.
Well, I will
And
say I think the difference
movie would
between
have
this
gone in.
movie and the last movie was that Zack Snyder wrote the stuff for the first Wonder Woman, whereas Patty Jenkins did the writing for this Wonder Woman. So call it what you will. And she's writing the next one and Rogue Squadron. I have no hopes.
But I think my favorite part of this movie was I liked seeing Wonder Woman get like beat because I feel like we've never really seen that in these movies.
Besides when Justice League, when Superman beat everybody up.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the
And
thing
in
is,
the first
even when
Wonder
she
Woman
was
where
fighting,
Ares clapped her.
yeah, I mean, in
That's
even
right
that,
before she beats him.
Yes, yes.
yeah, but
Well, but
she
anyways,
wasn't
I
even.
like
She
that.
didn't even look that injured, really.
Yeah, but
In
then
this
here
movie,
she
she
looks
was all
like really
bloody
beat.
and
Yeah.
exactly.
And it almost kind of reminded me of in The Dark Knight Rises when Bane just totally literally breaks Batman's back, which I think is good for character development,
Yeah,
And
100%.
and I love how, which I know is in the whole wish thing was kind of cheesy, but I like how the movie made her choose between her own happiness, being with Steve or Steve or her being a hero, which is kind of like what she like is her higher calling and how she has to end up choosing that. I thought that was cool
Yeah,
because
but then again, she didn't really make that choice. She was
She was
pretty
kind of
much
forced.
forced to make that choice because Steve was like, "Hey, I need you to get rid of me because you have better things to do besides me." All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to this long spiel about a movie that should not exist. Um, I hope you enjoyed it or gleaned some knowledge from it. Maybe we persuaded you not to watch this movie, which honestly might be a good thing. But with that being said, the next movie we're watching will be Crooks 2. So tune in for that next week.